virtue of the Utilities Charge Act, the National Electricity Regulatory Commission is empowered to evaluate trends in tariffs with a view to providing the federal government information as would assist in determining permissible increases. While a cost-effective tariff may be the only way to serve the core value chain from generation down to distribution, the controversial tariff regime categorized under Band A has continued to elicit outrage among Nigerians. Now, in major cities across the country, Nigerians are actually complaining about the rates, particularly when there has been no improvement in the power supply. This has no record of an upgrade in infrastructure or investment in the weak electricity distribution network before the latest hikes. On the show today, we'll be talking about the electricity hike, which has actually infuriated Nigerians across the nation. And I've got with me Oluwapelumi Awe.
Hey again.
Yeah, actually, this electricity tariff hike now, based on the service-based tariff scheme, has actually ignited this magma. Is it a case of pushing Nigerians to the wall to test their limits or the extent of anger in which they can showcase?
Well, I think it's both. We have seen the government make decisions in the last couple of months that have pushed Nigerians to the wall, and Nigerians are beginning to push back to say that we've had this enough. And there's a lot to talk about it, but also
you'll bring that up in the next phase of the show. I'm Odiawa AI, and the show is Viewpoint, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue. You do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us across various social media platforms. Join us in the next phase of the show. You're welcome back to the show. On the show today, I've got with me Oluwapelumi Awe, economic analyst, but we'll be addressing the increment in electricity power supply tariff hike on the political sector, how it actually affects Nigerians. Now, Pelumi, actually, I've gotten to find out now that in this electricity sector, based on what the NERC, the National Electoral Regulatory Commission, has actually said, that there are Band A, Band B, Band C, and Band D up to E. Now, they are actually stating that when it actually came out, it was a case of the tariff hike actually coming up. And it's not the first time the hike has actually come up. It has come up immediately after the inauguration of the Tinubu administration, which was not quite going down well with Nigerians at large. But again, it has been skyrocketed again or increased by the federal government through the NERC. Now, the federal government has broken it down through its Minister of Power Supply, Bayo Adilabu, that it's actually going to affect a few, 1.5 million to be specific, who are actually falling under the Band A. Now, this Band A are actually enjoying 20 hours power supply. Now, my question now, this thing has actually triggered conversation amongst Nigerians now. Is this planning right or wrong? The timing of this planning, where this policy is being initiated, is it right or wrong?
Well, so when we talk about the distribution of the category of the different places in Nigeria with respect to bands, we have to understand what that means. It means that what the government is trying to do is that the government is trying to take from the rich and help the poor. And so we're saying that if you look at what they released, it's minimum, not maximum. So they say minimum of 20 hours. It means that it could be more. So the Band A people have minimum of 20 hours power supply. The Band B persons have to a particular degree. The Band E have minimum of 4 hours a day. So if you're watching this right now and you wonder why they don't give you light often, it's because you are in Band E. And that's your category. And there are many ways to say this. So you say areas where you have rich people stay, areas where you have like Banana Island, for instance, you have Lekki, for instance, Dolphin Estates, for instance. These people have the money to pay. And they do this also based on the rent. So if you get to a place where the rent for a self-contained apartment, which is pretty rare, there are places you go to in Lagos where you can't find a self-contained apartment because the people who stay there don't stay self-contained. They stay 3-bedroom flat, duplex. And so somebody who's going to stay in a place where you're paying around 8 million naira in a year, and you would desire power supply. You wouldn't want to buy petrol. And so you would be required to pay more money than the ordinary person will pay. And from the analysis they gave, they calculated it to say 5,400 naira per day. If you're going to calculate that in a month, that's over 100,000 naira.
We're still coming over to the calculations. Let's start with the segregation now. Now, let me key into that statement now. Will it be right to say that power supply not being evenly distributed, there's a kind of a segregation or marginalization?
In every society, there is that. It's not the first time it's happening. We know this already. That in the area of the rich, things are sold on a higher level than when it's sold in the garden of the poor. And so it's not a thing to debate about. If anybody is debating about it, it's a case of low self-esteem, because it's clear that some features differentiate the rich from the poor. People who have from people who have not. Just like you have in the world. We have the first world nation, but you wonder why there's no second world. There's not the third world.
Okay, now let's bring up that service-based tariff image. Can we enlarge that on the screen, please? Okay, now we can see that now. So it therefore means that band A now are the superpowers, right?
Definitely.
Then band B are the...
So you have the people who are self-sufficient, people who they've broken through.
Okay.
People who are still breaking through.
Okay.
People who have not even, they've only broken once.
Okay.
And those who have not even broken through at all.
What about the band C now, which we will qualify or quantify them as?
Okay,
now?
so it's pretty much to say people who are financially sustainable, they can sustain themselves, sufficient themselves. So you have that in the first category, band A, and it's clear, it's just easy to say. And then the people who are in the band B are people who they can survive on their own. They are able to give out to an extent. Then you have the people, maybe band C, band D. Band D and band E, they seem to be in the same circle. So it's just like somebody who is average, who to a very good extent lives on daily bread. You can see that that's in the band E angle, and it's clear. And you find that these people don't really have a lot of infrastructure facilities in their area there. Most of what they have there were donated. So some places you go, some places where everything they have there, the tank given to them, the road made with plank, everything was donated by somebody, the band E. And then, so they really don't have light as often as possible. Even the minimum of 4 hours, it's not exactly true. There are areas where in a day, they have power back for only 30 minutes. And when you go to areas like that, when they give the light, everybody's running because they know that this thing is timed. So they're going to fetch water, going to iron their clothes, going to do all of this. But guess what? So I give you this instance. So somebody traveled out of the country one time, first time traveling out, and he got there and he realized that I think at the time the person got there, they had just announced that like the power will be going off for about 20 minutes or so. Don't panic, but everything is still fine. The person got there and realized, there's no light. So what he did was that he sat back and he wanted to go for an interview tomorrow. And this was around 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Let's say this is 2 p.m. on Tuesday, 2 p.m. He wants to go for an interview tomorrow, Wednesday. And they got there, when they gave the light, he just ran to where there was a table and
it was kind of awkward. To those who were there.
What is wrong with you? You say, I want to quickly before they take the light.
I was having asked whether it's in
Nigeria. So that's it.
Okay, now that was a nice, that was quite funny. But now under the new tariff plan now, based on the service-based tariff scheme now, 24 hours electricity per day will cost a staggering 5,400 naira. Now that's quite on the high side, because people are even complaining about contributing in a compound 4,000 naira for their power supply. Now this will amount to an unbearable monthly total of 162,000 naira and an outstanding yearly total of 1.9, just call it a round figure, 2 million naira. Now won't this be biting hard further, judging from the fact that as we speak now, the naira, which is like, floating, of course, maybe it's drastically dropping now, the recent subsidy removal, and just to mention just a few biting conditions which are like being treated by Nigerians, which of course are yet to be incurable now. My question now is, won't there be any means to make sure that there are some measurable instruments to make sure that these prices are being curtailed?
Okay, first, for the have-nots, and by the virtue of what has been publicized, it means that the government sees, and this is clear, the government sees the people in band A as the haves, and band B to band E as the have-nots, and maybe those who are still trying to make ends meet. What the government has said is that the government presently subsidizes electricity by 70%. So for those from band B to band E, the government will keep subsidizing their electricity whatever. But the guys in band A, the government is saying that we want to tax them. We want to make sure that they pay. Guess what? The people in the band A they are not the ones even crying out at the moment. So it's just a case of not understanding what the government is trying to do. The people in band A are not crying. They're not saying that we don't want to pay because they enjoy it. The reason people fight every time in a compound about paying the bill is because they are not even enjoying the power supply. And so if I'm not enjoying something, it becomes very difficult for me to be able to pull out from my purse to pay for that thing. So that's the idea there. The people in band A, citizens who stay in areas where they enjoy power supply for minimum of 20 hours, know that they are saving money on not buying petrol. So if I have 20 hours power supply every day, then I don't really need a generator. I don't need to get somebody to help me maintain it. I don't need, my AC runs for money tonight. I don't need to go and buy petrol. So I will not queue like the people from band B to band E. So we have to look at it on both sides. The people in band A are not even saying anything about it. They're not talking. It's the people who don't who are not going to pay.
But on another note now, the government has actually said that these increments is only to affect band A and it's not affecting band B. What information has actually been disseminated for band B members down to band E consumers to actually comprehend or understand the status quo?
So the point is, anybody who stays in band A, in the band A locale, or in the band A environment knows that they don't even need to. You don't find you don't find these agencies.
Talk less of looking at finding their ladders around.
You don't find that around. They make transfers. They make their payment on time. You know, there are areas in Lagos today where you don't have these people going.
It's not necessarily Lagos, elite urban areas. Let's classify it
like urban areas. So you have areas like that people just go into. They don't even go there at all. They just said they even pay in advance. They pay for a full year. So they're doing that their budget. They are sending money to an account. There's somebody within that space, which is okay. Just like you have in banks where there's a customer care agent attached to you. That they send money to. They pay this money. They don't even go there at all. And they know that they can pay. And they are already aware that, like I said to you, that the way to draw this thing is simple. The areas, we mentioned Dolphin Estate, we mentioned Banana Island, we mentioned Snake Island, we mentioned Lekki, for instance. These are areas that people didn't know that for you to stay in that place, God has helped you to an extent. And then paying this amount of money will not affect you in many ways than one. And then even before this must have been said out, they must have had a meeting with them. And a conversation must have happened. I'm guessing that they must even have a WhatsApp page. A WhatsApp page. I'm not even on any WhatsApp page. They must have a group where they have conversations about things like this. What can you pay? How many percent can you pay? We're going to increase it. Are you fine with this? Okay, before they increase it now before they propose increase to 5,000 plus, how much was it before? Let's say 4,000 naira. 4,000 naira a day is still a lot. For a month, for somebody from band B to band E, it's still a lot. 4,000 naira per day times 7 days in a week. That's 28,000 naira. If you're going to calculate that times 31 days in a month, and then multiply it by 12 months, you know how much that is. So they know that they are enjoying what they are asking for. If I go to a restaurant, for instance, just like people, somebody who, there is Mama Put, there is Kilimanjaro, there is Chicken Republic, and this is not, you didn't pay for any advert, right? Mama Put, there is Chicken Republic, there is Kilimanjaro.
So it doesn't end at Kilimanjaro.
Okay.
We have resorts in Oriental Hotel too.
Hey! So imagine you go to Mama Put where they sell as you call it. So how much you buy it? So they serve you in the plate there. And then you go to Kilimanjaro or you go to Chicken Republic also, and then you ask them how much is a plate of rice. And they say it's 1,002. You now start shouting, why is it 1,002? There is an option. Now, if you're in band A and you want to leave band A, and people like, one of the psychological needs of man is significant. And so I would not want to live in an area where I am regarded as somebody in band A, VVIP if I will call them, and then go to a locale where I could pay less. So if you know you are in band A and you cannot pay the amount, what is needed for you to do is to cut your coat, leave there and go. But guess what? As you are leaving that place, there is somebody waiting somewhere who wants to attain a level of significance. So I see this happening. As I speak to you, I see it happening on a psychological side, where there are more persons who will now begin to move to band A as I speak to you now.
They feel comfortable when you are descending. Is what you're trying to say. That's fine. Well, actually, this service-based tariff now has actually brought out one keyword which I want to major in, which will now bring up this subject matter of our conclusive discussion, and which has to be cost reflective. Now, will the cost actually reflect eventually when this policy is being adopted? Before then, we'll pull up this video with the Minister of Power. Can we have that video?
We are all Nigerians. A few people are only privileged to sit on the high table there. We are on the same level. We must be able to talk to ourselves. We don't have the culture of consumption management in this country in terms of power, just because of the cheapness of the tariff we pay out. A lot of people come back from work. They want to have dinner, or they want to play with their colleagues down the road. They switch on the AC for the room to be cooling before they come back. Yes, some people will be going to work in the morning. A freezer has been left on for days. They will still leave it on when all the items in the freezer are already frozen. And 5, 6, 8 hours of their absence will not be able to defreeze. They will still leave it if you consume power, just because we are not paying enough. We've all been overseas before. We know how conscious the power consumers are to consumption of electricity.
Well, we could hear Bayo Adelabu actually further stating that Nigerians should actually learn how to manage electricity consumption. Actually complain about people leaving their ACs on. Why? Because probably they must have gotten back home and they want room to cool off before they get in. Secondly, leaving the refrigerators all day, powering it up. And why? Because they need their items frozen. As far as I'm concerned, that statement was irrelevant. That's number one. Now, fine, Nigerians need to develop a culture of managing electricity supply. For some people will leave their houses and will not turn off the power supply. And when they do not turn off the power supply, oftentimes or often cases, the house gets burnt, or maybe there's one electrical surge or something. That's also part of the management of the supply. Consumption now doesn't necessarily mean that, okay, the fellow has abused the use of power supply here to be specific. Now, from this statement now, will the cost reflective nature be told to from both the consumers and even the government itself? Because I haven't seen any reflection in the cost for a long time coming, even up till now. Before it was a case of a hike in the megawatts. Now it's a case of hike now in the payments we need to make. How reflective now would the costs now be if power is to be extracted from band A to take care of band B to E?
Well, I think what the government is also trying to do is that the government is trying to make some money. And it's just basic economics. Recently, the government decided to ban Binance and then started requesting an amount from Binance. And we spoke about it the last time on the show, that the government is trying to make money. And what the government is trying to do is to try to ensure that you don't take much from the foreign reserve, also to be able to cater for the electricity subsidy that the government is taking care of for those from band B to band E at the moment. And so I think that I do not think that. So let me just speak on the case of leaving AC on and leaving the refrigerator on. The people who do that are those in band A. So it's clear that the government is trying to do something. Band A. How many persons who stay in remote areas would even have ACs?
That was why I initially said that statement, as far as I'm concerned, was irrelevant, because by the time you are using a prepaid meter, not a postpaid meter, by the time you factor in leaving your AC on and the watts is being consumed, you still recall or remember that you still have to renew your subscription. It doesn't make logical sense if you leave your freezer on.
And there are even areas where they don't have prepaid meters. They don't have prepaid meters. They don't have AC. So now AC is not something that it's relative to your pocket. All right. Even refrigerator is relative to what you have. So there are areas, for instance, people who don't only enjoy power supply for minimum of 4 hours in a day, which is not exactly correct. I don't think they have ACs. People stay in face me and face you. How would they have ACs, for instance? How would they have AC? How would they have refrigerator big enough to be able to consume a lot of power? So that in itself is addressing. I think that's a point made to those in Band A and Band B. But to speak about how reflective would the increment be? Remember, it said that the increment is only for those in Band A. The government will keep subsidizing for the guys from Band B to Band C, taking care of 70%. The least the government can do in any country is to subsidize electricity. Now, fuel subsidy, no problem, because you may not be able to manage that, because at the moment we export crude oil, we import it refined, and we're trying to make use of Dangote refinery to be able to ensure that we don't export as we used to before, and that there may be a lot of hanky-panky, a lot of games around that by people who don't want this country to advance. But when it has to do with electricity subsidy, because the government is in charge of that, it's a way of making sure the people are fine. And if the way to go, if the way to make money, how does government make money from the rich and help the poor? Tax. If they're evading tax, for instance, a way the government can also make money is to price the guys in the first band. Give them something high and tell them, we're going to give you this high, but you're going to pay this high. And guess what? The people in that particular place, when they know that they're going to benefit more, they will succumb. I give you this also. Well, my prediction is that we're going to have, and mark my words, we're going to have more companies move to Band A because it's more cost effective for them. So I'm saying that we're going to have, for instance, there is 1004 in Lagos. There's 1004 in Lagos. VI. There is Ikoyi. You will have more companies move there because what that will do to them is that it saves them a lot of power. It saves them a lot of money. And so they don't actually now need to maintain their generators, no longer need to go and buy petrol, and that helps them a lot. So that's what I see happening going forward.
Well, that has been an extensive one from the part of Pelumi, and we're breaking down the electricity tariff hike and also its involvement from the part of the federal government, of course, the National Electrical Regulatory Commission. Now, in the face of a fitful electricity supply, individuals and business resorts to generating their own power. Yet, privately generated electricity also comes at a huge cost, just as you've heard on the show. Many small and medium-scale businesses have been crippled due to the prohibitive cost of generating their own power. Even the big boys in the business venture, particularly the manufacturing ones, are also feeling the biting effect of the energy poverty, with consequences stretching to every part of the economy. Now, given the foregoing, we are not opposed to cost-reflective tariffs, but the process of billing should actually be measured, transparent, and efficient. I'm Odiawa AI, and the show has been Viewpoint, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue. You will do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us across various social media platforms. Thanks for watching.